It is difficult to get small quantities of goods. They're mostly large quantities. It's very hard when you've got a small family after having a big family to buy in small quantities because the money doesn't go to it today.
But firstly, we examine the problem that people, especially old age pensioners, have of not being able to buy food in small quantities. Tony went down to Romford Market to investigate.
Everything is put up in bigger and bigger packs. I mean, lard. Lots of places you can't buy half a pound of lard today. It's in a pound packs.
True.
And why? I don't want a pound pack of lard.
Well, what do you do about it then when you go into a shop? Do you ask them if they'll break it up for you or what?
They won't. They won't. You now look, half a pound of sausages you can only get from the butchers. If you go into any other places, they're in pound packs and they won't break them. They say they're not allowed to break them.
What sort of things can you not get in small quantities?
Well, such as rice, currants, dried fruit and smaller quantities of puddings, cheese. Cheese I'm always after, and butter.
Well, meat and cheese and bacon, all those kind of things.
You can't go buy 2 eggs. I don't buy 2 eggs, but I mean, you can't go if you want them, so you want to make a cake or something, a few cakes for yourself. You've got to buy half a dozen at least.
Well, ask you gone out. What's to say, is that all you want? Can't you buy more?
Do they sort of put you down then if you try and go in for 1 egg? Do you make you feel right about it?
You ask for a piece of beef, say for one person. Well, they bring you an office you can't afford. You say, could you cut it in 2, please? Well, what do? They look at you, must say, oh, we can't do that. So, of course, I mean to say, if they can't do it, well, what have you got to do? Buy the piece or go without?
So what do you do?
Well, I'll say, well, if you can't cut it, well, I'll have to go without. I can't afford that.
Meat, you don't look at meat. All I live on is chicken, and that's gone up a great deal.
Why do you particularly go for chicken? I mean, it can't just be price.
I can't afford the other prices. I'm only on my own.
If the local council offered you a list of all the shops that were prepared to sell things to people living on fixed incomes, small quantities of things, would you welcome such a thing?
Definitely we would, yes.
Would you use it?
Most of them, yes, I would. Yes, I would.
Here in the London Borough of Havering, the local advice centre has been looking into this problem. They're in the middle of a survey of local shops to find out just which ones will sell food in small quantities. Derek Prentice is the senior advisor. What did the survey prove then?
In fact, we are in the process of doing the survey now, and so far, in fact, about 75% of the shops we've visited are willing to sell small quantities of food to old age pensioners.
What are you going to do with these results when you've completed the survey?
Well, we're going to, in fact, publish a booklet in conjunction with the local authority, which will be given away free to every old age pensioner in the borough. And also, we're hoping, in fact, to have some form of sticker campaign, a sticker which we can stick in the shops that will sell small quantities of food, so, in fact, that old age pensioners can immediately recognise any shop that will help them out with this problem.
Derek, what's the future for this kind of survey?
Well, in fact, we see no reason at all why, in fact, all advice centres, when this whole new chain of advice centres eventually opens up, cannot, in fact, carry out a similar survey. So, in fact, eventually you'll have a nationwide list of every shop in the country, one would hope, that is prepared to help old age pensioners with this particular problem.
But given that you found out that 75% of the shops that you have so far surveyed are quite happy to sell small quantities of food, why was there a problem in the first place? Why didn't old age pensioners just go in and buy 1 tomato or a Brussels sprout?
I think the problem is really twofold. Firstly, I think many old age pensioners, of course, are embarrassed to go in and ask if they think they're going to be turned down. And secondly, of course, a lot of old age pensioners, like the rest of us, do their shopping in supermarkets. And generally speaking, it's in supermarkets they cannot obtain small quantities of food.
Well, we phoned round to some of the major supermarkets to find out just what they do for people who want to buy small quantities of food. Most were very much aware of the problem after reading this report called Shopping for Food, published last month by Age Concern. But they admitted that with the growth of pre-packed food, smaller quantities of food were harder to find in supermarkets.
Tesco, though, thought they were ahead of everyone else in this field. However, they did admit that they sold eggs only in 6s. But their large supermarkets sold individual items of frozen food, such as 1 fish finger. Marks and Spencer's had carried out a shopping experiment, but they didn't think the demand was big enough to warrant a full-scale change of policy. However, they did sell certain things, such as sausages, in small quantities.
Woolworths would bring their packs of 6 eggs into 3s, but found it difficult to cut up pre-packed meat. But they did sell liver and mince in open packs. Safeways had a special meat counter where anyone could ring a bell for individual service.
Now, Fine Fare were not quite sure if they could sell 1 egg, but they did make the point made by most of the other supermarkets that the pensioner should ask the manager if he or she wanted a small quantity of food, and the manager could probably arrange it.
Age Concern are not totally satisfied by this situation because in their report they found that 45% of their respondents wanted smaller quantities of food and their needs were not being met by the present system of shopping.
But Age Concern did welcome the survey being carried out by Derek Prentice at Havering, but they felt that the food industry should take more notice of the £1,342 million spent by pensioners on food every year and give them what they want.